Hey, what's going on, guys? Trevor here. We're in the garage today and we're going to do a little, 1 year review about the Jeep TJ. To give you guys a little bit of a backstory on my Jeep here. So, before I left for basic training and all that stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have money, so I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to buy a sports car or something like that. And then throughout the months of me being gone, I've realized that I didn't want that. And I thought it'd be a good idea to get a Jeep. I spent a lot of time looking. My dad was helping me and all that stuff, trying to find a nice, clean Jeep Wrangler TJ from the South. Because I'm from Wisconsin, so I really wanted a nice Jeep that was clean and didn't have a lot of problems. Like clean, low mileage, and all that stuff. So I found this Jeep. It was in Tennessee, which was perfect because my brother went to college in Tennessee. So I was like, okay, made the deal with the guy, flew all the way down to Tennessee 3 days after I got back from my military training. So I flew all the way down there, met up with my brother, stayed at his place, and the next day, the guy was coming over. Came over with it the next day. I looked around. We already agreed on a deal. My dad pretty much did that because I really wasn't a part of the whole thing because I was still at training and graduating and all that stuff. So didn't have really that much time to kind of sit down and talk to the guy and be like, blah, 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 blah. This is the price and whatnot. And my dad was a car salesman when he was younger. So he kind of knew like how to manipulate the guy into kind of giving us a better deal. So I did not buy this thing stock. The only thing I've really done to this is redone the whole front end and put on these fenders. Because I really did not want to buy a stock Jeep because it was the same price as a modded one. So I was like, I can get the best bang for my buck, get one that's already modded so I don't have to waste time kind of modding it, which, might get some flack for that, but it's like, it was worth it because a lot of the stuff that I wanted, it already had done. So I didn't have to do that and waste my time and spend way more money and thousands of dollars and hours of time trying to, get it to where it's at right now. So we agree on a deal, give him the check, he hands me the key, and I'm driving away with a brand new Jeep. Well, brand new to me, obviously. Driving home, that was a whole other issue. I could talk about that in another video if you guys like to know the story of me driving back with this thing. But so, I get it back, I'm just loving the thing. It's awesome, 4x4, you can't get this thing stuck. It was great. So my first impressions on the whole thing were pretty good because it kind of had everything, it was a manual, had everything kind of done to it that I wanted, done to it at the price I was thinking about paying. So that was good. And it drove pretty good, or at least I thought it did, kind of. Jeeps don't really ride the greatest if you actually have a Jeep TJ. So if you're thinking about getting a Jeep Wrangler, especially a TJ or a CJ or anything like that, YJ, you got to think about, if you're tall and how you really enjoy, comfort of a smooth ride. So if you're coming from pretty rough or a pretty good driving car that drives pretty smooth, this is not it. So like if you're buying one of these and it looks like this and it's modded, like be prepared to just not enjoy driving it all the time on regular roads, especially bumpy roads, because you're just like, oh my Lord. It just rocks you around. But that's a whole part of the experience of owning a Jeep Wrangler, is kind of that rugged feel where it's meant to go off-road. It's not like, especially these TJs, they're not supposed to be on pavement. They are meant to go off-road. And I learned that very quickly. So what I like about it is that it's a manual. I really wanted a manual. That's awesome. It's freaking awesome how you can take the doors off. I wasn't expecting it to be that awesome, but taking the doors off for the first time is just the most freeing thing ever, because you're going 55, 60, 70 down the road with the doors off, and it's just like, this is awesome. Especially taking the top off too. You pop the top off, you got a whole convertible now. Even though it's a hard top, you just pop the top off, boom. And the ladies love it, obviously. It's a Jeep, dude. and it looks clean. I mean, not right now, it's pretty dirty because I haven't washed it because I was kind of wheeling it around my house, but it's a Jeep, you know, especially because I live around Madison, Wisconsin. So going downtown Madison, the college, you know, you got the UW, you're driving around, people at the bars on Fridays, eating and stuff like that. You're driving around, you just look awesome. That's what I really like about it. Off-roading is like, you can't compare it to anything. You really can't. Especially with these, because these are 33 by 12.5 inch tires. They're awesome. They're fantastic. You can't get stuck. It's awesome. That's why I love having this Jeep, just for that reason. Because if I'm like, you know, I might want to try and get stuck here in this spot, it's not happening. You just can't. I mean, I haven't met a spot where I've gotten stuck, but so far, I've not been able to get this thing stuck. If you're looking to buy one of these, I'd say go for it. I really would. Maybe not, because I paid like kind of a pretty penny for mine, but if you find one that's exactly what you want, manual or maybe an automatic, and it's stock, or it's got like a little bit of stuff done to it, maybe a lift and some tires, nothing crazy, I would say buy it because it is so much fun. Even just the concept of taking the doors off, like it's fantastic. It's so much fun. And off-roading this thing, it's just awesome. It's so much fun. Even though I really don't do that much off-roading because I live in southern Wisconsin. So there's not too many places you can really go off-roading. So the things I kind of dislike about it, I've already talked about. So it's kind of like a pros and cons type of thing for the 1 year, you know, analysis on this bad boy. I'd say that the pros kind of weigh out the cons, which is good. That's why I say you should go and buy one. I recommend people going and buying Jeeps. They're good vehicles, especially the TJs. I don't know much about the years after, or the generations after, but you know, I'd say if you want a Jeep, a real Jeep, get a TJ. It's the only way you can really go, unless you're like some basic person that goes to Starbucks, and if you know what I'm talking about. So a con: ride's a little rough, not super smooth, kind of bumpy, you know, kind of like, you know, kind of does this sometimes when you're driving, like when it's really windy. That's a con right there. When it's windy, like at all, like you feel it, because it's literally a milk carton on wheels. That's how I describe this thing, is a milk carton on wheels, because it is not aerodynamic at all. At all. So you kind of have to be like, you know, if I'm in a very windy state, like, I don't know if this would really be the vehicle for you, because it does not like the wind whatsoever. Con: how many ladies you're going to pick up in this thing? You can't fit all of them, especially those big heifers. You barely got a back seat. You know, this thing's going to be, if you got to, you know, pick up a, you know, if looked like a 7 at the bar, bring her home. She's more like a 3, big heifer. This thing will be able to get her, but it ain't going to be that smooth of a ride. But it's also kind of a pro, because you will be able to get that big 7 at the bar home. But overall, this thing is a hoot and a half. So much fun. Like, just driving around in this thing, I know Jeeps kind of get a bad rap, but it's like, you don't feel like you're better than everybody, but you kind of do, because you're like, I'm driving a Jeep. I can take my top off. I can take my doors off. I can go off-road. You know, you could take your doors off, but you'd probably have to cut them off, or you could take your top off if you had a drop top. But I know dang well you're not going to be taking that thing off-road. Who's going to be taking a sedan, drop top, 2-door, coupe, whatever you want to, whatever, anything that's drop top, and taking that thing off-road? Not going to happen. Things are sick. You can't beat it. It's a total panty dropper. You're driving around downtown Madison, or wherever you live. You're driving around any sort of big college, doors off, top off. And you're also driving a manual, so, you know, You're the big guy on campus. No, whatever. Hate on me because I said that. But it's pretty true. It's awesome. I love it. But I also kind of hate it sometimes because, to be honest, you're like, man, it's pretty windy out today. Do I want to drive the Jeep and just be driving like this to go straight down the road? Maybe it's because of my alignment. Maybe it's because of my tires. But, Jeep people like to blame it on the wind. Out of your house and you're like, what do I drive today? Do I drive that? 12-mile-an-hour wind coming from the east. I don't think I'm going to drive that today. But other days when it's really nice and it's really sunny, you're like, zero wind. Looks like I'm going to drive around and act like I know something. You know what's also great about owning one of these? The Jeep Wave. It's kind of cliche, like, but once I got it and everybody started waving at me, I'm from the Midwest, so everybody kind of waves at each other, like if they know them, or like just to be kind of nice, just like, hey, what's going on, man? But once you get a Jeep, it's just kind of like, you just do it. And then people do it to you, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Some sort of acknowledgement meant that, like, hey, I own a Jeep, so do you. Like, what's up? That's pretty cool. And that's kind of like what Jeep people have, which is, in my opinion, kind of better than like what other car communities have. Other car communities, they have revving their engines at stoplights or like going by really fast and kind of like racing and acknowledging each other like that, which trying to race this thing is like trying to race a turtle versus a rabbit. It just is slower than a freaking tortoise, dude. It's crazy. But it doesn't shine there. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to look cool and go off-road. That's the whole point of having a Jeep. The whole point of having a Jeep is not to be like, oh yeah, look, this thing got 300 horses under the hood. No, it's like 180 with like 250 pound-feet of torque. I honestly don't know. Which I probably should know, but it's like, I don't know it off the top of my head right now. Where you do shine is looks. You drive around, you got doors off, you're looking cool. You look pretty sick. And yes, I know it's really noisy inside, and even with having upgraded speakers, it may not be a pleasant ride inside the cab. But I'm gonna link a video up here if you guys want to watch of me putting hush mat in this, which really, really reduces sound and makes my speakers sound so much better because I got aftermarket speakers in my Jeep and it makes them sound 10 times better with that. So if you have a Jeep and you want to make it sound better, watch my video and kind of my review on the whole hush mat thing. I really recommend getting some of that and putting it in your Jeep TJ. It's fantastic. So let's do a quick overview on what the pros and cons are. So the pros are, you can take the top off, go off-road with it. It's a hoot and a half to drive around. It's so much fun to drive around. It's awesome. And another pro is all the aftermarket stuff that you can get for it. Like, you can get bumpers, fenders, roof racks, lights, like on mine with the eyebrow mount. You can get KC lights on it. The possibilities are endless. Like, you can get half doors that are tubular. Like, it's awesome. You can get a soft top, hard top. You can get like a slanted hard top or a slanted soft top, dude. The possibilities are endless with these types of vehicles. So in my opinion, it's just great. So the cons. So the cons are is that it rides pretty rough on on main roads and stuff like that, but that's to be expected because it's a Jeep, obviously. It's not fast, with these big meats on it. It's kind of hard to get up to speed. Like, you kind of have to give her the beans a little bit, but it's awesome, but it's a con. You kind of have to deal with the good and the bad and the ugly of what this thing is, and that's what makes it a great vehicle. But you got road noise, you got just loud everything. It just rides really rough and really raw. But I mean, that's awesome. So I really say there's not that many cons. I mean, when I drive it a lot, I'm like, man, there's so many cons. Like, it's windy out. It's just like driving like crap. But there's not much I could really say bad about the whole thing. I just love the thing. I could never get rid of it. I've thought about it, but man, I just can't get rid of the thing because, it was my first vehicle that I bought with my own money, and it's just awesome, dude. It's beautiful. So what my 1 year review is overall, complete overall, pros, cons, ups and downs, sideways, left, right, north, east, south. This vehicle is good. My overall 1 year review is that I really like this vehicle. It has done me well. It's gotten me to point A to point B. It's great off-road. It looks great. You just feel you just feel awesome taking the doors and the top off. I know I'm reiterating that, but it's unbeatable. It's great. I really don't picture myself getting any other vehicle. I've heard that once you buy a Jeep, you can't buy anything else, and it's very true. Because I keep going back to the doors and the top, but just the ability to do that is awesome. And just the sheer bruteness of off-roading it and just the power. It doesn't have much power, but it uses all of that power very well. So that's a very good thing. All right, guys, that's it for the video. This is my 1 year review on the thing. So if you guys want, subscribe, like the video. It really helps me out, the algorithm and all that. So just leave a like. It takes 10 seconds to really do, not even. Really helps me out in the long run. So thank you guys so much. And as always, keep having fun.